Christ says something that I think is quite strange in the Sermon on the Mount. He says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." Now, if we just think about this for 1 second, blessed are those who mourn. How are those who mourn over, let's say, the loss of a family member, how are they blessed? That doesn't make any sense. It almost seems like they're cursed by God, even. But Christ says quite the opposite. He says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." I think this establishes the principle of reciprocity, or one could say karma, which is a very common theme throughout the entirety of the Sermon on the Mount. We can see this very evidently in Christ, the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. For this is the essence of the law and the prophets. Or this is the foundation upon which the law and the prophets are built. And if you care for the people that you love, then people are going to see that. They're going to acknowledge the fact that you're a loving and caring person. And if they're any sort of a fair person, they're going to do the same to you. We also see this idea in business. If you want to make a large profit in business, give your customers what they want. Have a good reputation among your customers. Be known for the guy that solves problems, not the guy that just wants money. Give the people what they are seeking after, and give it to them fully and more than what they expected. And if you do these great things for people, if you help people, if you solve their problems, then they're going to give you money in return. They're going to give you what you want if you give them what they want. And this idea is very foundational. Of course, that's why Christ says it is the foundation or the essence of the law and the prophets itself. Another way that you can think about this is the idea that family members that were previously disunited can come together. They can mourn for the same person. They can share similar feelings, share similar goals, similar aims, and that can unite previously disunified family members. It can bring them together. And I don't necessarily want to say that you can transform these terrible events like the death of a family member into something that is good and beneficial, but you certainly can. You really can transform terrible events into something that's at least better than what it could have been, and you can certainly also make them worse. So this is something that I learned about, I'd say, a few weeks ago, so quite recently, about the Genesis creation account. Of course, it says in verses 26 and 27 of Genesis chapter 1 that we are made in the image of God. What that means fundamentally is that we are who God is to a lesser degree, that we do what God has done and what he continues to do to a lesser degree, but to a degree nonetheless. There's the idea in the creation account and in the first chapter of John that it's the creative word or the transformative word, the logos, that gave rise to creation. And not just creation of matter, but creation of order of heaven and creation of chaos, earth. So we have that logos. We have the spirit of the logos within us. We aren't the spirit itself, but we have that spirit working within us. And that's what it means to be made in the image of God. You aren't the spirit of good or the spirit of love or the spirit of the logos itself. Rather, it works through you. And of course, it doesn't work through other animals necessarily. That's actually, especially in this case, that's actually quite of a burden to carry. Because, of course, God gave rise to the order that is good. He gave rise to heaven, essentially. We can do the same thing to a lesser degree, again. We can speak a little bit of heaven into existence, but we can also speak a little bit of hell into existence. And so we have the capacity for a large amount of evil. We also have the capacity for a large amount of good. The idea explicitly, I'd say, laid out in creation is that you can make the order that is good, the evil that is bad, in any given scenario with your words and with your actions, but particularly with your words. There's the idea in the Gospels that the truth will set you free, and there's an extension to that, another idea that the truth will set you free in direct proportion to how much you speak it. And so that it really hits the idea that the transformative word, or the logos, is what brings about heaven or brings about earth. And so we have this capacity. The people who reject the idea that they can speak hell into existence are exactly the people who can fall prey to just that. And so you must understand your capacity for evil, that no matter how bad a situation is, you can always make it worse. And anybody could always make it worse. However, no matter how bad a situation is, you and anyone else can make it better. And I think that's why blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are them because they are showing that they care, that they genuinely loved someone. The reality of your suffering, of your misery, of your weeping over somebody shows that you love them. A great tragedy can bring out the worst in you, but it could also bring out the best in you. And that's your choice.